Druid Cowman here, just going to make a quick guide on trying to find out where the sound is being recorded from. Tap, tap, tap. Sorry about that. Hey, it's Druid Cowman. I'm going to make a quick guide on Resto Druids and tell you all about their stats, talents, gear, and the whole shebang. So, first of all, I'm going to start off with talking about their stats and stat priority. Your number one stat is going to be Intel, a lot like every other caster. Intel gives you mana, spell power, and critical hit chance. By far your top stat. Now the stat following after that will be your mana regeneration, which is produced by Spirit. Spirit will come buddy buddy with most of your healing gear that you will receive in the future. As for secondary stats, your Resto Druid priority will consist of haste, mastery, and critical hit rating. You want to aim for haste first because it will give you extra ticks on your hots, which are your main heals technically. Hots are heals over time, and you are given a set number of ticks per heal over time, and with haste breakpoints you get more ticks out of that spell. As long as you're reaching your haste breakpoints, haste is number one. The first haste breakpoint is about 900 haste. You want to aim for that first, and if you cannot reach your second haste breaking point, which is 2005 haste, you want to go for mastery until you can reach that breaking point. 900 haste will give you a 8th wild growth tick. Very important. And once you reach the 2005 haste breaking point, you'll get your 9th wild growth tick. Once you hit that breaking point, you are done with haste and should stag mastery after that by reforging or gymming Intel mastery to get there. Crit is a good stat to have. It is nothing to focus on. It will come with most of your gear. Comes on some tier pieces. Like I said, nice to have, not nice to worry about. Also, since 4.2 Mastery has a, hold on one second, pest problem. As I was saying, since 4.2 Resto Druid Mastery has been changed. It is now Harmony, and it reads, your direct healing is increased by an additional 16%, and casting your direct heal spells grants you an additional 16% bonus to periodic healing for 10 seconds. Now that means whenever I cast Healing Touch, I get a buff that increases my periodic healing, as you can see in my buffs at the top right corner of the screen. So after I do a direct healing spell, I want to apply my hots for an additional healing. It forces me to cast something rather than hot everything up. Although it is a great mastery, I personally enjoy it, and I think you will too. Good going, Blizzard, for the first time. Now I'm going to talk about gymming. First and foremost, your meta gem is going to be the intellect and increased mana meta gem. As for every other socket, you're going to want intellect, unless you need a secondary stat such as haste, mastery, or spirit, and it has a good socket bonus. Otherwise, always gem solid intellect. Well, I've run out of things to say for the time being, so I'm going to sit here and talk about absolutely nothing, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to queue up for a quick heroic, show you just a little bit of your heals in action, kind of give you an idea of what you need to be doing, and As soon as my queue pops, I will show you that. Easy peasy. First of all, I'm going to start off by life blooming the tank. Maybe even throw in a rejuve just because I don't feel like casting anything. I'm going to wild growth if any other party member takes damage, even possibly rejuve them just because I don't feel like casting. Instant casts are a druid's best friend. Very simple, not a whole lot to explain here. Bibbidi boppy. Now we're going to start the boss fight. I love applying thorns on the tank, gives them extra DPS and threat. Keeping life bloom on the tank, using wild growth and rejuve on everyone else. Once the AoEs come out, I tree form in tranquility for big AoE heals. All of the other party members in case they take a large amount of damage. And here in a second, once big AoEs come out, I'm going to regrowth for fast heals to keep people from dying. Regrowth is your emergency heal with a hot. I'm going to do that a few times. Once people are safe, I'm going to healing touch to top. I'm going to tell you a little bit about your spells. Nourish is your laid back, just top someone off, refresh life bloom cast. It is a long cast time with a low mana cost and heals for a mediocre amount. Its healing is increased by 20% if a hot is present on the target when cast. Next spell is Healing Touch. Healing Touch is a big, expensive heal used for blasting someone's health through the sky at a safe moment. You don't ever want to cast something. You don't ever want to cast something with a long cast time in an emergency. Regrowth, which was just cast, is a fast, expensive cast that heals for a little more than half of what Healing Touch does, and it is used in dire emergencies to keep someone from dying. So you would regrowth a few times, and even Swiftmend after that. Swiftmend, without the glyph, consumes a regrowth or rejuvenation effect, and creates a circle of healing that heals the most injured party members in the circle over time. That is a talent. As for talents, mine's a little funky because I'm doing 25-man raids right now. Nature Ward is a talent you probably do not want for PvE. It automatically applies a rejuvenation when you are dropped below 50% health. But your main other specialization talents are going to be Furor, which gives you an extra 15% mana, which also benefits your Innervate. And in balance, you want additional crit and the 5% spell haste when you cast Regrowth, but you do not want those alone unless you are going to get the reduced mana cost of all spells in the second tier of the balance talent tree. There are certain things that I have that you don't necessarily need for raiding or for pre-raid. A few talents that aren't quite necessary would of course be Nature Ward, which instantly gives you a rejuve as soon as you drop below 50% health. That could be useful in a 25-man raid whenever you drop below a certain amount of health often. Also, I have a few other talents that aren't quite necessary. See them in the video. There's not a huge need to explain, but feel free to look up online any sort of talent tree fitting for what you want to do. And there are my 2 cents on Resto Druids. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.